Well, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave from Chase to Summit, and we're live. Let me know in the chat if I look good, sound good. I didn't really have time to check ahead of time, so hopefully everything's working right. It's been a minute since I've been live. So today I wanted to do something that I did last year on the channel, which was a live stream for Amazon Prime Day. I know it's a little materialistic, a little spend money, but whatever. Today's the day to spend money if you've been waiting or eyeballing that GPS watch or running gear or earbuds or whatever. So today I just kind of want to go through the items that I found on Amazon, things that seem like a really good deal, things that don't seem like a very good deal, and hopefully help guide you to a purchasing decision today if you're on the fence about something. I also invite you to join the chat. If you've found a really good deal on Amazon, share that in the chat with everybody. This is a community experience, and hopefully we can all get something out of it. Before we dive in, I do want to thank the Patreon members over on Patreon for supporting the channel and the podcast for the past, year. I've got a lot of people over there that have been around for a while. Also, the YouTube members, thank you so much for continued support. And if you want to join the ride that is the Chase to Summit Patreon or YouTube members, check out the join button or the link in the description down below. Help support the channel, keep this ball rolling, keeping the lights on and things working. I really appreciate it. Also, one more plug before we dive into the deals. Check out the Chase to Summit merch store. I've got the CTS Ridgeline hat back in stock and the stickers, the holographic stickers. You get one free with every hat. Check them out in the link down below. And that's all I'll do for plugging. Let's get right into it. So I've been eyeballing the deals. I've already written a bunch down. If you want to just jump ahead to my findings so far, you can go into the description of this video down below, and you'll find a whole list of deals that I've found with the percentage off or how much money has been discounted from the product, as well as a link. Those links are affiliate links, so I do get a little kickback, full transparency, but it doesn't cost anything extra to you. So use them. That helps me out. If I could help you out with a link, I would do it too. Anyways, I'm going to dive right into what I think is a really good deal. But before I do that, I want to say hi to the people in the chat already. There's a bunch of people watching already. Holy smokes, you guys are already chatting it up. Let's bring some up on screen. Make sure this is working. See Chad Run, I'm here, but only for a few minutes. Need to get lunch. Hey man, lunch is way more important than this. We got Konos Milo. Hi Dave. Hello. Thanks for joining. Haley Bailey. Yep, all good. Thank you for letting me know. Everything is perfect. Excellent. Everything's working. Congrats on almost 63,000 subs. Thank you. Appreciate it. Liam McNeil says, good afternoon, Dave. And Daniel, I'm not going to try to say that last name, Saavedra. Did I get it? He says that shocks are now 30% off. So that's your first deal of the day. We'll do some digging on that. I'll share my screen and we'll look into that a little bit further. And this guy, David Gonzalez asks, any CTS gear up for Prime Day? Not for Prime Day, but I do have a sale running on the gear right now over at the Chase to Summit merch store. If you do, I think it's CTS Summer 5 will get you 5% off, but maybe I'll come up with something clever. But I won't be able to do it during this video. Man, I need like an assistant that could like make a discount code, but I'll see what I can do for Prime Day. Chris Martin says, love your content. Thank you. And Option Select says, hey, thanks for the video reviews. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy them. Okay, with that out of the way, thanks for joining everybody. Continue to chat. Like I said, if you've got something to share, like a really good deal or something, drop it in the chat. Also, let us know where you're chatting from, what you're up to, what you had for breakfast today. Any of those things are options in this live stream. So I'm going to dive into what I think is the most exciting sale of today. And if you follow me over at Instagram, again, links down below, follow me over on Instagram. I already posted about this, but this is the Garmin Enduro. I think you're probably familiar with this if you're a runner or a trail runner or a hiker or endurance athlete. This watch came out, I think about 8 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more, maybe 9 months ago. It's fairly new. And when it came out, This one in particular, it's the titanium model, was $900, which is a lot of money. But right now, check this out. Share screen. Yeah, check this out. $549 for the Garmin Enduro in the titanium version. And if you go for the steel version, the silver one, it's $500. This is by far, if you're on the fence about the Enduro, you really wanted to buy one and you just thought it was too much money, today is the day, because I feel like the price can't get much better than this. Even like a couple of years from now when it's discounted and stuff, this is a crazy good deal. So if it's something that you're looking for, I would say jump on it now. This price is crazy. Yeah, it is like the last year's technology. So we do have, let me jump back to the main cam. We do have the older heart rate sensor. So if you look at like compared to the Fenix 7 or the Tactics here, it's got that older heart rate sensor on board. So it's not the newest and latest and greatest, but I tell you what, the Enduro is a great watch and I really enjoyed this thing. Gave it generally a pretty positive review, with the exception, I think my only con on this in the video was that it lacked maps, and for $900 with no maps, I was like, come on, Garmin. But for $500 with no maps, I'll give you a pass. Pretty good deal. So that's the show opener there. Really incredible deal for the Garmin Enduro right now. Another one I've queued up to share with you today. Again, links for all this stuff is in the description down below if you're interested. We've got the Instinct Solar. Again, this watch is fairly new. I'm probably a year and a half old maybe. And I really like this watch. It gave me a lot of like original Fenix vibes from like 10 years ago, but with like more modern hardware and a lot more features. And they've got this one marked down right now from $350 down to $199, which is a really awesome deal. This is a great watch. Do I have it on the table over here? I've got the Instinct 2, so I'll pretend it's the Solar. This is a really good watch for hikers, runners, trail runners, climbers, anybody who's like in the mountains doing high alpine stuff. The Instinct, the line as a whole, is a really awesome watch because the entire body is made out of this really rugged plastic. It kind of gives you that G-Shock vibe, but it is much more durable than the metal because when you scratch plastic, you don't see the scratch through the paint because it's black all the way through, or blue, or whatever color you choose. So I really like the Instinct for that like rugged durability. It looks pretty cool and it's kind of like a minimalistic design. So yeah, if you're on the fence for an Instinct, I think $199 is a pretty solid option for this. So that is Instinct. Kind of banging through these. Maybe we should take a couple of comments from the audience here, because it looks like y'all might have some conversation here. Let's take a couple of these. How about that? Fenix 6 or Forerunner 945? Well, let's use your question to segue into the deal on the 945, because this could be a deciding factor. Did I share my screen? Too many buttons, man. So if we look at the Forerunner 945, right now it's on sale for, hey, Play Better shout out right up top here. Right now it's on sale for $379, which is like crazy. This watch, when it came out, it was $600. It got marked down to $500 like a year later. And here we are like 2 years later, and it's down to $379. Fun fact, the 945 was like one of my first videos on this channel. Go back and check it out. No, don't. I was really bad at this 2 years ago. But $379 for the 945 is a great deal because you get mapping on board. I got one around here somewhere. Yes, here it is. You get mapping on board. You get the advanced training tools, training load, training status, load focus, all of that. And it's all in a really nice package that's pretty lightweight because it's only like 50 grams because it's all plastic. And it's a great triathlon, road runner, trail runner watch with full mapping and navigation. For $379, try to beat that in any other brand right now. Even though this is a couple of years old, it's still very relevant. It still has more features than like 95% of the competition. When you look at like the landscape of Polar, Suunto, Korros, they're doing stuff. They all make great products, but the 945 offers a lot for $379. That is really hard to beat. And I could get this tomorrow. 1 day delivery. By the way, all the pricing I talk about in this video is based here in the USA. I know I've got international viewers, so I apologize if I'm talking 379 like it's the world's currency. This is US dollars, unfortunately, so you'll have to translate this to where you are. In these sales, they might be regional, so I don't know if you're in Europe or something, you may not see the same kind of pricing on the same stuff I'm talking about. So full disclaimer there. But to the question that was asked, the person asked, I forget who it was. Yeah, Yov Regev, Fenix 6 or 945. So now that we talked about the price of the 945, let's talk about the Fenix 6, which was on a better deal than this. I think because I'm looking at the Sapphire model. Let's look at the Fenix 6. Yeah, 449. So right now, you've got 379 for the 945, 449 for the Fenix 6. Tough call. So when the differences between the two are very minimal. The Fenix 6, I think in my experience, had slightly worse GPS accuracy compared to the 945, just from my testing. I don't know if that's an intended design or something else. The 945 was always a little bit better in terms of GPS accuracy, but other than that, they're very similar between the two. So it would be really hard for me to make a decision. I would say for you, I would boil it down to if you're looking for a watch that you want to keep around for like 5 years, you want it to be very rugged, something that would survive, being bashed off of rocks or something, the Fenix 6 is probably the way to go. It's more durable. It's made out of metal. You could potentially get the Sapphire option and just get more durability. If you value lightweight and you don't like having a big chunky watch on your wrist, like me, I tend to gravitate towards the lighter, smaller watches. I would say the 945 is a good deal. So it's a tough call. It's really up to you. It's a very personal decision. So I'm not going to make that for you. I can only share that the only real difference between the two that I found is that you get slightly better GPS accuracy with the 945 and slightly better optical heart rate accuracy because it's a lighter watch. It tends to not bounce around as much. Neither of them were perfect in terms of heart rate, but I'd say the 945 had a slight edge. So I hope that helps. Let's jump back and take a couple of more questions. Do you really need the Enduro when the Fenix 7 battery lasts forever? That's a great question. So there's a lot more differences between the Enduro and something like the Fenix 7. This is actually a Tactic 7, but very similar. The battery in the Fenix 7 has gotten really good. So it does kind of rule out the need for an Enduro, but the Enduro does have one major differentiating feature, and it's the standby battery life. So in GPS mode, you'll get similar battery life between the Fenix 7 and the Enduro, but in standby battery life, the Enduro goes for 2 months or something on a single charge, where on the Fenix 7, you're looking more like 3 or 4 weeks with the 7X, the big one. And if you go for the smaller versions, less than that. Where that would matter, in my opinion, would be if you're someone who's a thru hiker or you're a climber, maybe you're alpine climbing, and you don't necessarily care so much about the maps, but the most valuable thing to you is that standby battery life. So when you're camping, you want to stop your activity and still have enough juice to start your activity the next day. That's where the Enduro would come in. And I know that's a very niche use case, but there are people out there that really value that standby battery life, and the Enduro really delivers on that. It's also just unique in that way that it's like main goal in life is just crazy battery life. The Fenix 7 can get really good GPS battery life, and it does have great standby battery life. It's just not on the same level. That said, just about in every other way, I would take a Fenix 7 because it's got more features, generally speaking. So yeah, it's got newer sensors, more features, touch screen. Yeah, but it's also more money, and it doesn't have that crazy long standby battery life. I also want to quickly mention, I had this in my notes right at the top, but I totally blew by it, is that if you're hoping to buy like a Fenix 7 or an Epix Gen 2 or a 955 or a 255, any of these new watches that just came out, I'm wearing the 955 right now, you're not going to find them on sale. Garmin on Prime Day, they typically take like one generation back, and I think this is their way of like purging their inventory of older stuff. So you're only going to find the Fenix 7s, the 945s, the 245s, etc. on sale. I highly doubt, I know for now, the 955, 255, Fenix 7, and Epix Gen 2 are not on sale right now. Another thing I want to mention before we move on is that another thing you will not find on sale are Korros watches, like the Korros Vertex here. I've got the Vertex 2 kicking around here somewhere. Korros is very interesting because I think their watches are priced aggressively, especially like the Pace 2. At $200, you get a lot for your money there. But another thing you'll notice with Korros is they very, very rarely have a sale on their watches. The only time something gets discounted is if it's older, like the Korros Vertex 1 here got marked down from $600 to $500, which makes it a pretty awesome deal. But they don't really take part of the Prime deals. Another brand that you won't find on Prime deal is Polar. So this is the Polar Pacer. Yeah, the Polar Pacer. This one just came out a few weeks ago. Cool watch, $200, lots of features. Again, you won't find it on Prime deal. Polar typically doesn't take part in Prime deal either. But they do take part in Prime deal in other ways, and we'll talk about that in a little bit when it comes to like sensors and accessories, things like that. So let's take a couple of more questions here. I already lost my place. I used to go live all the time, and I haven't done it in so long that now when I go live, I've got like a mess on the table. I'm sure you can see it here. Hopefully it's not coming off like I'm completely disheveled here. Bradley says Enduro or Fenix 7. I think I just kind of answered that question. The Fenix 7 is not on sale, so you're going to pay a lot of money for it. If you're looking at the 7X, you're paying $1,000. So you're paying double the Enduro. I'd say the Fenix 7 for most people is a better watch, but is it 2 times the money better? You'll have to have a discussion with your wallet, potentially your significant other, to make that deciding factor, because $1,000 is quite a piece of change for most people. Mafari, I think I said that right. I'm trying. Is the Venue 2 or Venue 2S on sale? It's funny. I don't even think I looked that up. Let's look for the Venue 2. Garmin. If I can type. Typing with people watching is uncomfortable. So the Garmin Venue 2 is on sale. You've got the Venue 2, the larger one, for $269, down from $399, which is a great deal. The 245 here, which we'll talk about in a minute. Venue 2 Music. Where's the Venue 2S? Or the Venue 2 Plus, rather. I don't see the Plus here listed for sale, probably because it's too new. So it looks like the Venue 2, the base Venue 2 with the larger 45 millimeter case is down to $269, which I think is a really solid value for that watch. That's a great watch. And below that, we'll talk about this really quick. This is another one I have listed in the description of this video with the link and everything. $239 for the Garmin 245. It would have been funner if they made it $244.99, make it $245 for the 245. But yeah, $239 is a really good deal for the Garmin Forerunner 245. Lots of features. You get breadcrumb navigation, good battery life, decent accuracy and heart rate and GPS. And with the announcement of the Forerunner 255, this came out a couple of weeks ago. I really like this watch a lot, and I feel like this should be the default choice for a lot of people right now. I think the 255, has kind of taken the crown as my default recommendation. If you've got under $300 in your pocket, $350 in your pocket, really awesome watch. But we're talking about the 245, and the 245 is still a really good value at this price and offers a lot. So if you don't need a lot of these new features on the 255, I'd say the 245 is still a really great way to go. And for $239, I'm trying to think of competition at $239. You've got the Korros Pace 2 at $200. You've got the Polar Pacer, which I was just holding. That's $200. So out of those three, if I had to choose from the 245, the Korros Pace 2, or the Polar Pacer, man, that's tough. I really like the Korros Pace 2 for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like the right amount of features for $200, but the 245 does have navigation. It's got breadcrumb navigation, which the Korros Pace 2 doesn't have. So I feel like I would end up going with the 245, I think. All right. What's the next one? Oh, I should have brought this comment up before we dived into that. But the Chris Martin says the Garmin 255 versus the Venue 2 Plus. Given the fact that the 255 is brand new, definitely not on sale right now, and the Venue 2 Plus is not on sale right now, they're both. So the Venue 2 Plus is what, $450, right? I think it's $450. Lose track of these things when you, $450 for the Venue 2 Plus, and then you can get a 255 for $399. That's a tough choice. I'll boil it down to this. If you're somebody who's a runner, a triathlete, swimmer, mountain biker, you spend most days doing something active, athletic, and you value the training tools on these watches, the no-brainer would be to go with the 255. It's got way more training tools than the Venue 2 Plus. You get the estimated VO2 max, the training load, the training status, the HRV status, the training readiness feature that came out, the race calendar feature, so many things on the 255 for $400. I think this is like one of the best values out there. The Venue 2 Plus is a better option if you're not like a diehard athlete. If you're more of like an everyday wellness person, maybe you jog a couple times a week, you want to track your steps and your calorie intake, and you want a cool looking watch that you can read your text messages on, kind of rivaling the Apple Watch a little bit because you can actually take phone calls on the Venue 2 Plus. I would go Venue 2 Plus. This completely comes down to your use case. I can't really answer this question for you because they're so different. If you're like on the athlete side of the spectrum, 255. If you're kind of like an everyday person and you're trying to get in better shape and you want to track your runs and stuff, Venue 2 Plus. I hope that makes sense. I hope that help answer your question. Is the Venue 2 or Venue 2S on sale? Yes, $269 looks like, marked down from $350. Good deal. I would jump on that if you're looking for one. Garmin 255 over the Venue 2. So he's sharing his opinion here. Because you do not get any of the training metrics on the Venue, which is super disappointing. Agreed. And I wish they didn't do that because I don't know, like it would be cool if you could get the 400 255 with an OLED screen, and the Venue 2 Plus is close to this, but missing a lot of the features that make this special. So not yet. They could probably do it in a firmware update. Would they do it in a firmware update? Probably not. Richard Jablonski says, if you could pick only one Garmin watch of all the models, out of which one would you pick if money was no object? That's tough. I would be torn between, I want to say 3 models. So right now, my everyday wear is the Garmin Forerunner 955. I love this thing. I love its lightweight, kind of low profile. I like the look of it. It's pretty minimal. I should probably put the top-down camera on. Yeah, there you go. Pretty minimal looking, not like super flashy or anything. This kind of just suits my style. I'm not somebody who really like, I wouldn't be able to pull off this Suunto 9 Barrow. Just not my look. So, nothing against it. It's a cool looking watch. It's just not my look. So this really suits me. And I like the features on board. I like the, the training metrics. I've got my VO2 max. I've got my lactate threshold and my 5K prediction. I can go into my training status, which is recovery right now because I'm training for an ultra marathon this weekend and I've been taking some time off. Getting an email. Good thing it was nothing private. It's just an advertisement. That would be bad on a live stream. We've got training readiness, which is a really cool feature. So I guess, long story short, I would probably pick the 955, even though it's not the most expensive watch. It's just the one I've been enjoying the most lately because it suits me. That said, I would also entertain the Tactix 7. This is the Garmin Tactix 7 here. This thing is an absolute beast, and it's totally overkill for everybody. Like, no one needs this thing unless you're a hunter, pilot, marine, military personnel, Air Force. I don't know. Like, no one really needs this thing, and it's super expensive. It's like $1,500, but it's so cool. I like the look of it. I like the build quality, and like there's little nuanced things about the Tactix 7 that make it super durable. Like these buttons just feel really good. It feels different than a Fenix 7, even though it's kind of the same thing. So I might go with this. I'd be torn between the 955 and the Tactix 7. And in third place would be the Epix Gen 2, which is around here somewhere. I really like that as well. I don't know if that answers your question. This is totally unrelated to Amazon Prime, but I thought I would answer it anyways. By the way, all those models I just mentioned are not on sale. So you won't find a Tactix 7 or an Epix Gen 2 or a 955, unfortunately. Konos Milo says, I found the Fenix 6 for $350. You need to elaborate, Konos. Where did you find it for $350? Because that's a really good deal. That's less than what I saw on Amazon for, I think it was $449 right now for the Pro. The other thing is are you talking the Pro model or the base model? $350. Let us know. Re-comment. Fenix 7 versus 955. I think I discussed that. And if you haven't seen it yet, I have an entire video about the Fenix 7 versus 955. Go check that out. That might answer your questions. I posted that last week. Yeah, it might be more helpful. Matthew Siebert says, my boy Dave is live. I left work early and I get to get treated to a live stream. Man, sounds like you're having a pretty solid day. Congratulations. Konos Milo says, Foreigner 245, 160. Where are you seeing these prices, man? I don't see them on Amazon. Chris Martin says, Garmin needs to create a watch with the Venue 2 smartwatch features plus Fenix 7 Pro body and metrics. Yeah, they kind of do already with the Epix Gen 2. It's around here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. There's the Epix Gen 2. This watch has the OLED display. It's built like a tank, but it also has the OLED display. It doesn't have the microphone and speaker like the Venue 2 Plus, but I think everything else is there, mostly. So check that out. It's a lot of money, but it's got just about everything. Why is no one comparing the 255 and 745? I do actually talk about this if you watch my Garmin 255 review video. Near the end, in a quick, it's probably a 20-second thing, I talk about the 745 briefly. And that's a good reminder. The Forerunner 745 is actually on sale today. I want to talk about this while we talk about the 255. So Garmin 745, there you are, up on the screen. It's kind of funny. This is probably the worst deal on Amazon Prime Day. I guess it's not really on sale. Did I just see it cheaper? Let's go back. No, it's the 945. The 945 is way cheaper than the 745 right now. This has me super confused. Okay, this is officially, what you're seeing on the screen right now is officially the worst deal on Amazon Prime Day when it comes to fitness watches. Do not buy this for $450. So the 745 is a great watch. In a vacuum, it's a great watch. But if you put it in the landscape of everything today, with even the 945, the 255, like this question just asked, the 955, and then you look at this price tag of $456 on sale, big air quotes on that, worst deal on Amazon right now. The 745 is a good watch. It's nice and small. I got it here so we can look at it in real time here. Nice and small. It's got a lot of features. It's basically a 945 without maps and a smaller footprint, but it doesn't have mapping. It doesn't have, offline mapping with points of interest or anything like that. It's missing a lot of the new features that you see on like the 255 and 955. And when the 255 hit the market, I was like, oh man, this is basically the last nail in the coffin for the 745, because in my eyes, currently, there's really no reason to buy the 745 with all of these other models available, specifically the 255. Now, there are differences if you get really into it. So the 745 does have Climb Pro, which is Garmin's climb feature. When you're hiking up a hill, you can see a little graphical, hill on your watch. I love that feature. It's available on the 745, not on the 255. That's a big difference. And when it comes to cycling, I believe I'm not really into bikes and stuff, but from what I've heard, there's a big difference there as well as to what accessories are supported on the 745 compared to the 255. Why am I not holding it? Oh, there we go. 255 over here. So if you've got like cycling power meters and stuff, I think there are things supported on the 745 that are not supported on the 255. I could be wrong, but I think that's another difference. But aside from that, in just about every way, the 255 is better. So don't buy a 745, especially at this price at $450. I don't see why it's why that's considered. Like what would it take for me to buy the 745? I think if this was the appropriate price for this would be $299. I think at $299, but even then, the 945, $375 right now, it would have to be like $275 for me to be like, go buy this. Because at $275, that might be a good deal. Sorry, that was kind of a rant, but it was kind of bothering me thinking that someone might be out there hitting add to cart on that. Unless you really absolutely love that style, I don't know why you would, because it kind of looks like everything else. Don't buy it. Beano World UK says the 245 Music is still a brilliant watch in 2022. I completely agree. It's a really good watch. It doesn't really hold a candle to the new 255, but again, it's like half the price right now, so I can't really compare them. They're two very different watches aside from their names being pretty similar. But the 245 is a great watch. It's kind of turned into a comparison chat. I'm going to try to get back to the deals, the Amazon Prime deals, but I'll take a few more questions and then we'll go back. We'll go back to the deals here. So this one is from V Zimmer, the new 255 and Fenix 6S Pro. Same price today, but the heart rate monitor is old on the 6S. Yes, there's more differences than that though. If you value more accurate GPS and heart rate data, go with the 255 because it's got multi-band GPS and the new heart rate sensor. If you need a rugged build and you need navigation with mapping, go for the Fenix 6. Fenix 6 has mapping, 255 does not. It's got breadcrumb mapping, but it's not quite as useful as the Fenix 6. Joel Long says, man, I love this setup. First time seeing this. Awesome. Thanks for joining, Joel. I think I saw you over on Instagram. If you don't follow me there, go over to Instagram and follow me there. Best watch with GPX for mountain hiking and climbing. The best, I'd probably go with the Tactic 7. The most economical, probably the Fenix 7, which is over here somewhere. I don't need to get it out. I'll just say Fenix 7 or the Epics. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to come back to these questions in a minute, but I want to continue on with some of the deals I found that I haven't talked about yet. And one in particular, something I found kind of surprising. So if we look up Suunto, right here. So the Suunto 9 Peak, $455. And I think this is kind of funny because if you go back and watch my Suunto 9 Peak video, in that video, I comment on how I feel like the Suunto 9 Peak is a little too expensive for what you're getting. And I think I say the appropriate price would be $450. So there it is. It's finally at its appropriate price on Prime Day. I think that's a pretty solid deal, especially if you're in the Suunto ecosystem. Maybe you have an older Suunto model and you want to upgrade. Suunto 9 Peak, really nice watch. I enjoyed my time with it. Got it right here so we can look at it. It's a really nice build. It's got a sapphire lens, feels really durable. And generally I got like okay accuracy out of it in terms of heart rate and GPS. And it's got a lot of cool features that they are still developing. There's still firmware updates and stuff coming out, which I like. So $455 and you get it tomorrow. 20% off. That's a good deal. On top of that, another Suunto deal is the Suunto 7 coming in at $349 from $399. That's a Google Wear OS device, which I've had mixed feelings about for a while. When it came out, it was like new and exciting. Now down the road, it's like, I wish it was more, but at $349, it's a solid option if you're looking for like an Apple Watch alternative. We've also got the Suunto, where is it? Suunto 9 Barrow. This is heavily discounted right now at $399 for the 9 Barrow. 9 Barrow is a awesome watch. Here it is. Big chunky watch. Like, look at this baby on my wrist. That thing is huge. I have a 165 millimeter circumference wrist if you're interested. It's a great watch, but it's a little dated now. We're talking like 3 years old, I think. And, you know, technology has moved a lot in 3 years. But for $399, if you're on the fence about it, I think that's a reasonable price to ask. Okay, so we went through Suunto. We banged through that. Let's go back to the questions, see if you guys have anything else to comment. Will Garmin Pod improve my running pace? If you're talking about the running dynamics pod, I think it does, but I'm not totally sure. I think it does, which is interesting. I don't know. So I'm not totally sure. I would look through the spec sheet to make sure. I know like with Korros, with their dynamics pod, it does improve pace. And that was like one of the bigger selling points on it. Like for treadmill and stuff, you get better accuracy. And I think Garmin does the same thing, but I could be wrong. Kind of tied between buying a Fenix 7 and the Fenix 7 Sapphire. If you watch my videos, you know I'm a huge proponent on Sapphire, and I'll show you why if the camera allows me. If you look at, here's the Forerunner 255. This watch is approximately 3 weeks old, I think, and it's in great shape. But if you look at the right angle, let me wipe it off of my shirt real quick. You'll see, let's see if I can get that. Yep, there it is. See right here? That's a big old scratch right across the lens. And not only is there's one scratch here, and there's two little dings over here as well. And I did nothing to this watch to abuse it. Unfortunately, my track record with Gorilla Glass has not been very good. Now, if we look at something like the Epix Gen 2 here, I've had this watch a lot longer. This is a Sapphire watch. And if you'll notice, there is no blemishes. What you see is little smudges on there. But yeah, no blemishes on this one. Where on Gorilla Glass, for whatever reason, maybe I'm a complete klutz and I just destroy my watches. Could be the case. I've just had really bad luck with the Gorilla Glass. And even on my Garmin Enduro, you'll see that I've got a screen protector on here because I don't trust myself and I don't want to ruin this one. So I put a screen protector on it. So in my opinion, I like the Sapphire, and with the Sapphire, you don't just get better glass, you also get the multi-band GPS, which is not available in the base model, solar, and you also get more internal storage from 16 gigabytes up to 32, which is a big deal. So if you care about storage, your GPS accuracy, and the durability of the watch, I would pay the $100 and get the Sapphire model. Boy, I just talked a lot about that. Let's see. I'd love to get the Fenix 6, but most likely won't get any new features. The difference in battery life makes me gravitate towards the 955. Do you think the 955 will get all the updates of the Fenix 7? I'm not sure what you mean by that. The 955 actually has more features than the Fenix 7 at this very moment because it came out with the new training readiness, the HRV status, and all of that updated stuff that isn't currently on the Fenix 7 right now. So the Fenix 7 is missing that. However, if you listen to my podcast, which I posted yesterday, by the way, I have a podcast. If you're watching this, go down to the description down below and follow my podcast. There's another plug for you, updated weekly. If you've listened to that podcast, you'll know that on the Fenix 7, you can actually install all the new features from the 955 in alpha. So you have to go to the Garmin website and download a file and then upload it to the watch over USB. So it's a little clunky, but you can get the new stuff on your Fenix 7, but it's in alpha. Alpha is even before beta, so it there could be bugs, there could be problems. I'm going to avoid it because I have a race coming up and I don't trust alpha software to run a 100-mile ultramarathon. That would be a real problem if right in the middle of I'm at mile 50 of 100 and my watch decides to restart or something. I'd be pretty bummed about that. So right now I'm just using production firmware. But to answer your question, you're saying, will the 955 get Fenix 7 features? I think what you might be talking about are some of the nuances. There's a couple of little minor differences between Fenix 7 and 955, like the map feature looks a little bit different. The graphs look a little bit different. To answer that question, in my opinion, no. I don't think they'll change that. I think that's a very intentional thing, that they're trying to differentiate the $1,000 watch from the $500 watch, which I don't like, but it is what it is. So I don't think so. If that's your question, I could be wrong. Okay. Now I need to ban somebody real quick. There we go. I think I banned him. There was somebody saying some pretty terrible things in the chat, and it's banned. Let's go. What is your favorite hydration supplement currently part of the Prime deals? That's a good question. I didn't even look up that. So I'm just going to do a quick search for Tailwind. See if we get any Prime deals on this. Well, not really. There's a little discount, 20% off. If you're not aware what Tailwind is, I'm not sponsored by them. They don't give me money. This is a product I like to use for races. These little, I like this kind because they're individually wrapped. They're these little packets of like electrolytes and sugar and stuff. They're like 300 calories a serving. They taste really good. And for me, I've found a lot of success with running with Tailwind. You can see I purchased this last in 2017, but I found other ways to buy it since then. So Tailwind, not really a huge deal here, but there is a big deal on Liquid IV. This is another product I really like. Now, Liquid IV, I am kind of affiliated with them a little bit for the podcast. So actually, if you want to get Liquid IV, you can go over to liquidiv.com and use the code CHASETHESUMMIT, all one word, at checkout. I think it gives you 30% off. But here, it looks like you're getting 31% off. So maybe you're better off getting it on Amazon. This is another product I really like, and I am loosely partnered with them for the podcast, but I genuinely really like this stuff because it's like 50 calories a serving, but it has electrolytes in it. So if you're not feeling like you need a bunch of caloric intake, but you want to just feel more hydrated, Liquid IV is a great way to go. And I like the taste. You know how there's some products that like the taste gets really old? That I try to avoid. And with Liquid IV, I don't get that. I feel like I could drink it like all day, several times and not get like tired of the taste of it. So no great deals there. What else do I use? I like Goo Roctane. I know a lot of people may hate this stuff, but is it Roctane? Yeah, Goo Energy Roctane gels. Well, that's kind of a good deal. Is it $40 for a pack of 24? That's less. Yeah, so $1.50. Is that a good deal? Not really. I think you can buy them at like my local running shop for around like $2 a pack. So maybe a decent deal, but not like crazy good. Yeah, nothing crazy good there. You know what I haven't looked up yet is like Salomon running vest. See if we get anything here. So the Advanced Skin 12 set, this is what I run with usually, this black colored one on the top left. That's my go-to. I'll be wearing this on Saturday at the Vermont 100 miler. I really enjoy that, but there's no sale on it, which is a bummer because it's kind of expensive at $160. And it doesn't seem like anything is on sale. Another brand that's kind of stingy with their sales, Salomon. What about Ultimate Direction? They're another big one. And yeah, again, not really any big deals. Well, 25% off this Fastpack 30. Nothing to write home about, unfortunately. And I also noticed like shoes. A lot of the shoe companies right now are not doing sales, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping to find some stuff I could pick up, but nothing there. Let's keep going. Oh man, I got played by a troll. I'm gonna have to replay this podcast or this live stream and listen to what I actually said. Now I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what I said. I was just reading. Geez, now you guys know you can take advantage of me. Apple, oh yeah, the Galaxy Watch 4, pretty good deal at $200. Yes, actually, I was going to bring that one up. That's actually in the description down below as well. The Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. Yeah, $174. That's a really good deal. Previously $250. I believe it was actually more than that when it first came out. They were like $279, I want to say, but there's so many versions. Yeah, there you go, $279. There's so many versions that it's hard to say which one's the cheaper one. But yeah, I'd say $175, $200. That's a good deal if you were interested in the Galaxy Watch 4. I had a mixed review on that. Like, as an Android user, it was kind of interesting. My big beef with it was that if you don't have a Galaxy phone, so if you have like a Huawei phone or, any non-Samsung phone, you can't make use of all of the features. You just get like basic functionality. If you want like the ECG sensor or the blood oxygen saturation sensor, then you don't get those features on the Galaxy Watch 4. Anyways, I'm just remembering what I got trolled on, and that is really embarrassing. Hopefully. Dang. Okay. So, any feeling towards Wahoo watches? Yeah, I actually like the Wahoo Element Rival. Got one right here. Look at that. Of course, all these watches are not charged. So, but yeah, this is the Wahoo Element Rival. It's a really cool watch. And if you're a triathlete looking for a really simple, like just works out of the box kind of watch, I think this is a good option. If you're anybody else, you're not a triathlete, I feel like for the money, there are better options. But one thing Wahoo did recently is they had a firmware update to include Stride native support, which is a running power sensor for your shoe. So if you are a Stride user and you're a runner and you're a triathlete, I think this does become a little bit more compelling. But it is $350. And then if you look at the landscape again, and you look at like the Korros Pace 2, just $200, it does everything this does for less money. And I would argue it has a more fledged out ecosystem for watches with the Korros app and the training hub and everything, where the Wahoo is a little bit simpler. But I do expect them to keep working on this, and it will be cool to see. The thing Wahoo has that I think a lot of people overlook is on the cycling side, their bike computers actually have navigation support with mapping and stuff. So I'm hopeful that eventually they'll shrink that down and put in a watch. And if they can do that, they'll have a real solid option on their hands, because if the Element Rival had mapping and navigation on board with some training tools, it would start to rival something like a Fenix 7 in terms of functionality. So that would be really cool. But they're not there yet. They're still new to the game. This came out like a year and a half ago, 1 year ago maybe, and they're still developing. So it's new. I have hope that they continue to progress it, and hopefully it'll mature in the future. M. Buckner, do you use a screen protector on your 955? I do not, but if you saw my little clip a moment ago, you can see I've already scratched it pretty bad right there, and I'm very upset about it. But, I'm fortunate in that I have a whole bunch of watches, so I don't need to obsess about it. It does bother me, though. We got Mike Benson. Good luck on the Vermont 100. You'll do great. Stay positive and have a blast. I listened to the podcast today, and I could sense the stress. Yeah, man. Yeah, I know this is an Amazon Prime Day video, but I'm actually running a 100-mile ultramarathon on Saturday. Just 3 days from now, and I'm very, very nervous, but we'll see what happens. I'm also trying to decide what watch to wear for that. I think it's going to be the Tactic 7, just because of the crazy battery life, but it may be the 955. I don't know. I think both would do the job. Dizzy17 says no deals on the HRM Pro. Yes, there is a deal on the HRM Pro. I saw it earlier today. Garmin HRM Pro screen share, bingo, bango. There we go. So you'll notice this like third-party seller is including batteries for $129. Don't buy that one. Right below that, you can see you've got $104.99. It was actually $109 earlier. It's $20 off. Now you can get it for $25 off. And I think that's a really good deal. The HRM Pro, if you're not aware, is a Garmin chest strap that compared to the 955, 255, and a slew of other watches. And it provides running power data, your ground contact time, and a bunch of other advanced metrics you typically wouldn't get. But by wearing the chest strap, you get better heart rate data and a whole bunch of other stuff for $105. Linked down below. Check out the description. So yeah, I would say that's a pretty good deal. I wish it was a bigger discount, obviously, but it's a pretty good deal. On that note, I want to talk about the Polar H10 because I also saw this was on sale earlier. Polar H10 right here. So $82. This was actually $99 at some point. Again, about $20 off. And this is kind of Polar's equivalent to the HRM Pro for Polar watches. With this one, you also get advanced running metrics, and it gives you better heart rate data for $82. And if you're a Polar user, I would go with this. If you're a Garmin user, go for the HRM Pro. Let's see. Back to the main camera. Mick Lou says, amazing stream quality, preparation cameras. Awesome. Thank you very much. I haven't done it in a while. I'm glad I still have some dexterity. Is that the right word? I don't even know what I'm doing. Between a 255 and Fenix 6 Pro, same price, mainly do high intensity training and some swimming, and you're leaning towards the 255. I would say 255 because it's got a better heart rate sensor. It's got the new HRV training, HRV tracking, training readiness, all that stuff is in the 255. And that will not come to the Fenix 6 because it's an older watch. So get the new stuff. Plus, if you're not doing like hiking or trail running or rock climbing or alpinism or anything like that, I'd say the 255 is a better fit for like gym workouts and things like that. Brian Bauman says, I just bought the 255 Music. I have the 6 Sapphire and I wanted an S model. So yeah, it's a smaller watch as well, and it's lighter. For the 955, getting all the Fenix 7 features, this was a couple of questions ago, meant that the Fenix is a darling for Garmin. For example, the Fenix 6 still receives updates 3 years later, while the 955 will get the same treatment. Yes, definitely. Something very important that a lot of people forget about Garmin is while they won't roll out new features to older hardware, like if you've got a Fenix 6 or a 245 or something, you're not going to get anything new, but they're not going to let the watch die. So you could buy a Fenix 6 and probably use it for 10 years and still sync your data over to the cloud, to Garmin Connect, to Strava, all that stuff without an issue. It's really just about the new stuff. They won't add stuff down the road, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, you can rest knowing that your watch won't be obsolete and outdated like some other brands have done. So like, for instance, I have, hang on, let me get it. Where is it? There it is, the old faithful. Check out this baby. This is the original Garmin Fenix, the Fenix 1 from, I want to say 2009, something like that. This was my first GPS watch ever. And fun fact, you can still pair this thing to Garmin Connect and sync with Strava. How about that? So that says something about Garmin and their longevity over time. That's something I like about them. It is kind of unfortunate you don't get the new stuff, but you know, at least there's that. In your opinion, what would be the better watch to buy, the 255 or the 945? Tough call. If you're The 945, I would buy that if you need mapping. So if you want mapping and navigation, 945. For every other reason, for any other purpose, I would probably go with the 255 because in just about every other way, it's, in my opinion, a better watch. How exactly does a Garmin watch help a regular person who does daily workouts, like improve the workout itself? Which metrics do people use? Well, if you're tracking your steps, for instance, I think in day-to-day life, tracking your steps, your calories burned, you can also use Garmin Connect as a way to track your calorie intake and calories burned with using MyFitnessPal paired to the watch. So there's a lot of aspects of life that are not activity related that you can track with your watch, and just being aware of your activity level. For instance, some of these watches, they have something called a move alert. So if you're sitting still for too long on the couch, it'll buzz and tell you to get up and move around. And just that little extra push can help somebody who's, otherwise been on the couch a lot, get up and move around. I also find just having a watch on your wrist makes you feel like you should be moving. Like if I look at my watch and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't run today, it's a reminder. And there's some weird like physiological effect of, it making you want to get up and move around. So I do like that as well. But other than that, it also tracks your sleep, which is very valuable information. You can know if you've got a bad night's sleep to not be super active. Like general wellness is a pretty important factor with it, just completely ignoring running and lifting weights and stuff like that. I hope that answered your question. M. Buckner says, great chat. Concern of how previous versions of Garmin will no longer receive updates. Also, do lower versions get less updates than higher end versions? No. So I think I just covered this a little bit. Garmin won't let your watch die. You'll be able to sync it forever, basically. And well, maybe not forever. If they come up with like a new Garmin Connect that's incompatible, maybe not. But for the most part, most older watches will continue to sync with Garmin Connect for a very long time. But you won't get new features. And when you talk about like cheap versus expensive watches and how often they'll get updated, yes, if you buy a Fenix 7 for $1,000, you will likely get longer updates compared to like a Garmin 245 because they're in a different category. While the Fenix 7 is a flagship model that has all the features, the 245 or the 255, they're designed to be running or triathlon watches, so they'll only get updates that are pertaining to their little niche, where the Fenix 7 or the Fenix 6, they're designed to do just about everything. So they get all the updates. So in a way, they will get more updates, but probably not by much. Hope that helps. Saw the Apple Watch 7 for $309. Yes, and I wanted to talk about that as well. Bring it up, Dave. Apple Watch Series 7. Again, any of the things I talk about in this video, this live stream, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to help support my channel, make your purchases through there. Shameless plug, but I got to do it. Helps me keep paying the bills for this place and buying all these watches. The Apple Watch Series 7, $309, marked down from $429. That's actually a really good price and makes it a lot more compelling for what it is. I really like the Apple Watch, but I've been seeing these rumors. This is going to be a bit of a off topic from Amazon Prime Day, but there's rumors out there about like a rugged, outdoorsy kind of Apple Watch, like for the next version. And I've got my fingers crossed. I talk about it in my podcast, actually. Hopefully they do something like that. That'd be super cool. But for now, $309 for the Apple Watch Series 7 is a pretty awesome deal. Explorer96 says, hi again, you forgot my question. Oops. I can't really choose between the Garmin Instinct 2 Solar or the Garmin Enduro. Which do you prefer if you don't look at the price? I mean, without the price, I would go Enduro every day, unless you're bothered by the larger footprint. So I can bring them both out if I can find them. Oops. I totally didn't mean to do that. I just made a clapping sound. Oops. So, here we go. The Garmin Instinct. This is the Instinct 2. but it's the same size as the Instinct Solar. So you can see that the Enduro is significantly bigger. It's a pretty big watch, in terms of thickness and diameter. And, in terms of weight, the Enduro is a really light watch, but it's still heavier than the Instinct. So I would say just about every way other than size and weight, the Enduro is better. It's got a better display. It's got color, longer battery life, more features in terms of like the advanced training tools for running and cycling. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Money aside, but if money was a question, the Instinct is still a really good option if you're like a hiker, trekker, trail runner, maybe road runner. Instinct Solar is a little less runner oriented because it doesn't have any of the training tools. Instinct 2 does, but the Instinct Solar does not. Brian T says, do you have a 255S to show compared to the 245? I don't. I only have the 255, the regular one, and I've got the 245 as I fumble around over here somewhere, not on the table. Long story short, they're pretty similar in size. The 245 and the 255S. Probably nearly identical. I say probably because I don't have one, but they're very close in terms of size. I think I already talked about this. H10 and HRM Pro are both on sale. Check out the links in the description down below. I just want to send you a hug. Thanks, man. Or whoever you are. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Cody Jackson says, did you hear about the new HRM Pro Plus that is supposed to be coming out soon? No comments. I think I've seen some rumors on websites, but I can't tell you anything more than that. I don't know anything. For trail steps, 955 has a different kind of Gorilla Glass than the 255, doesn't it? Now I see those ugly scratches. I'm not sure about buying the 955. Bad news. They're the same glass, I think. And actually it did scratch. Let me get it off so I can show you. Wipe off the screen a little bit. Here is the 955, and it takes a little bit, it's a little harder to see, but I did scratch it right up here. There's a couple of little dings. And again, I've been wearing this one every day since I got it, which was a couple of months ago. So it's to be expected, but yeah, they're not the most, when it comes to the glass, they're not very durable. I just have really bad luck with Gorilla Glass. I always scratch them. I actually, a while back, I got the Fenix 6 Solar Titanium. It was like a $1,200 watch. I went on vacation with my family. I had the watch at the beach, scratched it on vacation. Big old, like nasty scratch across the display. And I was like, oh man, that's brutal. Just something so cringy about scratching. Ugh. Hi, Dave. Quick line to say hello from Mexico. I have 2 sport watches and I'm happy with them. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Ooh, Grid X Pro versus the Fenix 7 or 955. Man, in just about every way, I would say Fenix 7 955. I don't want to come off like a Garmin fanboy. I try to stay as objective as I can, but the Grid X Pro really doesn't have anything compelling over the 955 or the Fenix 7. I'm trying to think of like one thing it does better. Other than, I will give it credit for being one of the coolest looking watches. Where is it? Let me get it out of the drawer. I'm not going to go digging for it. Yes, it is one of the coolest looking watches. It might be even one of my favorite looking watches. I like the silver bezel, the titanium model, but functionally the 955 and Fenix 7 just have it beat. Do you think the Apple update coming will help Apple compete better against other watches from a running perspective? Battery life is still a failure, unfortunately. Yes. And I'm very hopeful with Apple that this software update is like a little teaser as to what's coming, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to come out with a like fitness running watch like an Apple Watch that's designed specifically for running and fitness. And I think the introduction of running power and vertical oscillation and ground contact time and all that in this new beta firmware that I've actually been testing. I've got a video about that from like 2 days ago if you haven't seen it yet. I think that's a big tell as to what's coming. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I think I'm way back. I'm way back here. Active Ideas. Oh, go check out this guy's YouTube channel. I've seen a couple of his videos. Just tuning in. Thanks for joining. And he says, when do you reckon Korros will come out with more watches? Can't wait to see what they'll do next. That is a really good question. I was kind of expecting in like this summer to see a new Apex, because the Apex, the original, not the Pro, but like the original $300 Apex, it's getting a little bit old now. You know, it came out like 3, maybe 4 years ago, I think at this point. And it's getting a little bit dated even by some of its cheaper counterparts like the Pace 2. That feels a little bit more relevant and it's cheaper. So I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we see a new Apex. I think that's going to be the next release from Korros. If I had to guess, would be a new Apex. The Amazfit T-Rex 2, is it a good one? Actually, you know what? Let's look up sales on it. I didn't look that up yet. Amazfit T-Rex 2. I talk when I type. So, yeah, wow, look at that. $216. Wait, with a $50 coupon, what does that make it? Oh, that gets it way down. That is a really good price. $50 off $216. What is that? 166. I can't do math in real time. That's an incredible price for the T-Rex 2. So if you're interested in a T-Rex 2, I'd say now is the time to buy. If you didn't see my video on this, I posted like a couple of weeks ago, full in-depth review with GPS accuracy testing and stuff. Surprisingly cool watch for the money. At the time, it was $229. Now you can get it for like way cheaper than that. I like it. I had a couple of issues with it in terms of like software stability and the fact that they advertise it having like maps, basically like navigation, when in fact it does not. And it's coming in a future firmware update that doesn't exist yet. I was kind of annoyed by that. But other than that, super cool watch. And that's a great price for it. I would say, if you know what you're getting into with the Amazfit, then it's probably a good deal to jump on that. But it's a good company. I like the app and ecosystem. It's just weird, like from watch to watch, the features vary quite a bit. And I'm actually testing out their new Amazfit BIP 3 Pro right now. I've been working on a video for that. It's supposed to come out this week, but we'll see. And that one's $69 with a ton of features, which is crazy. So, you know, Amazfit's a really interesting brand, and I'm interested to see what they do in the future. But that's a really good deal for the T-Rex too. Hey, look, we got our first thumbs down, everybody. Thank you to whoever that was. Love the YouTube thumbs ups and downs. Actually, I don't think you guys can even see thumbs down anymore. Well, I have one so far. Let's see. Garmin Fenix 6 Pro, $449, or the 6X Sapphire, $499. I'd go Sapphire, but that's me because I don't trust myself. Feel the Need says, what does the tattoo on your forearm say? Yeah, it's in Greek. Can you see it? Maybe I could do this. It says mu lepis, lepius. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's Greek for I miss you. It's for my mom who passed away when I was a teenager. I actually have a whole video on my channel explaining the tattoo because that question is asked in every video I post. There's like 5 comments of people being like, love your tattoo. What does it mean? So I made a video about it. Check out the channel if you're interested in learning more about it. It's like a 10-minute video on a deep dive on my tattoo. NJ24 says, great channel, man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Taras, oh, look at that name. Chakivsky. Chakivsky. I nailed that one. Good job, Dave. Hey man, Korros Pro against the 955 or Fenix 7 or Fenix 7 SS. That's a lot of comparisons to make on the fly, man. I can't make that comparison. I would say Korros, you say Korros Pro, it says Cases Pro. I'm guessing you meant Korros Pro. But yeah, I would say Korros Apex Pro if you're looking for maximum battery life and rock solid performance and reliability. And I would say 955 Fenix 7 if you're looking for more gadgets, like more of the training tool side of things, the ability to download additional watch faces and widgets and things like that from Connect IQ, onboard music, the full-blown mapping capabilities. I would say 955 Fenix 7 for that. GL says no music version for the 955. They all come with music. So on the 955, there's no option to not have music, which is a lot like what the Fenix 7 does. Everything has music now. So you don't have to make that choice. Whereas on the cheaper models like the 255, they still allow you to make that choice. For the people who just don't use music, you can save $50 and get the non-music. I don't know why they do this still. It seems like you should just put music on everything and call it a day. That would reduce how many different SKUs and models they have and make my life a lot easier, but they still have that music option for the 255. On the 955 though, you do get music no matter what on any of the models. How noticeable is the thickness between the 955 and the 255? Let's take a look, shall we? There you go. That's how noticeable it is. In real life, it's, I'll say imperceivable. It's not really something I notice at all. Honestly, when I've got both these on my wrist, they feel almost identical. It's really hard to tell them apart. They look and feel, even the weight feels very similar, which is why I've just been wearing the 955 because it has more features and it's basically the same size. So I've been gravitating towards that. After a year of hiking, my Fenix 5S has more scratches on the original bezel material and the glass is still pristine. Yeah, sapphire is good. It's interesting. I actually like, I won't say I like bezel scratches, but I think it adds like some patina to your, some uniqueness, some novelty to your watch if it gets a little scratched up and your glass still looks good. But scratch glass really bothers me, so I don't mess with that. I hear this a lot. I like the T-Rex, but just be careful with Chinese companies and Chinese servers. Yeah, which is interesting coming from you because you have Chinese letters in your username there. Yeah, I hear this a lot in the comments on videos like from Amazfit or any other like mainly Chinese oriented brand. I guess I see the concern, but I also like, for me, I'm like, yeah, okay, you can know my step count and my heart rate. Like, I can't think of any data in there. There probably is some personal data I wouldn't want to share, but for the most part, I just don't care. Like, if you know my sleep habits, for instance, what could they do with that? Probably something, and maybe I'm just dumbing it down. I just try not to, I don't know. I try not to get in the weeds with that. Ryan Hopkins says, thumbs up because they thumbs down. Thank you. Appreciate that. Offset that thumbs down. What do you think about Aftershocks Open Run? That was something somebody else brought up. Let's bring up that Aftershocks Open Run. Arrow open. I don't see Open Run. Oh, here you go. Yeah, these look cool. The only issue I have with Aftershocks or any bone conduction headphones is that they, for me, I'm a bald guy, so check out this this head of hair I've got going on. It's hard for me to wear them because I find they like tickle my temple when they vibrate, and the whole idea is they vibrate to get the sound through your bones. I like the idea of them in that they seem very safe, in that you can hear what's going on around you while hearing music. But that tickle really annoys the crap out of me. Another thing is like basically all of the bone conduction headphones I've tried so far, the sound quality has been kind of terrible because it feels so muffled. I feel like I want to hold them against my head to get the sound a little bit clearer, but I know that's the trade-off. So for me, I don't love bone conduction. I've got a whole bunch around here I've been meaning to review on the channel. I just haven't gotten around to it. There's actually one brand called Halo. They sent me one last week. I kind of like them, but they look very similar to these. I haven't tried these yet, but for $180, holy smokes, they must be good. I know this is a brand a lot of people like. My wife uses them quite a bit. She has a pair of Shocks. So yeah, I'll have to try them out. See if I can share my opinion about them. I don't have opinion. Looks like a lot of people like them, judging by the 2,500 positive reviews, but I haven't tried them out yet. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm talking about them, and I'm not sharing my screen. There they are, the Open Run Pro. Okay. Is a nylon band more comfortable than the normal one? Yeah, for some people. I still like the silicone band for a lot of reasons, but these Ultra Fit bands from Garmin are actually super comfortable. I also really like Korros bands. They make some really nice high quality bands. But these Ultra Fit bands, they just feel really, really good, and they don't really absorb water, which I like. I'm indecisive. I like silicone because they feel secure. I can get them nice and tight without worrying about it, but the nylon bands are really nice as well. It's a really subjective thing. It's really personal preference. Fabio Baltieri says, hey man, hey Dave, met you at States. Good luck at Vermont. You'll do great. I ran with the 955 at Clam Pro. Would recommend that. Awesome. So Fabio, I believe, is a guy I met at a coffee shop in California at the Western States 100. I think I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, it's cool to meet you. Thanks. Danielle Kravitz Malabud. That's a name I probably butchered. While the concern with China is understandable, don't forget that Garmin was offline for several days due to ransomware. Correct. Yeah, that was about a year ago. That was crazy. People were so up in arms about that when everybody couldn't sync with Strava for like a week. That was nuts. Chester Morgan, I'm fairly new to the running and biking world, but starting to run 5Ks. Would you suggest the 955 or go with the 945? If you could swing it, if you can afford it, I'd go 955 all day. You'll get longer firmware updates, more support. It's a newer watch. It's got newer sensors, better GPS sensor. For all those reasons, I would go 955. If $500 is a big stretch for you, there's no shame in the 945. It's a really good watch, especially at the Prime Day price of $379. That's crazy. So both are really good. It really comes down to your budget. I can't make that decision for you. Good evening, Bothani says. Good evening to you. It's only 3 p.m. here, so not quite evening yet, but we're close. What do you reckon Garmin could do to produce an Enduro 2? Hoping they hold on to that product line. That's a great question. So an Enduro 2, what kind of features would we want to see? Well, first of all, it would need bananas battery life. I'm saying battery life that rivals like the Korros Vertex 2. I didn't even bring that one out. Where are you, Vertex 2? Jeez, I'm losing all my stuff. It's either in my backpack or in a drawer over here. The Vertex 2, I think the standby time on that is like 60 plus days. If they could get an Enduro with like 90 days of standby battery life without charging it, that would be really cool. I think they need to hang on to this product line, but really push the envelope as to what they could do in terms of squeezing out every last drip of power efficiency from it. I don't know if I'd even want to see mapping on it, because that's not what this is for. Like, I want maps on it, but I know maps require more processing power. They probably require more copper and more RAM and CPU power and things like that they just didn't do on the Enduro to really milk every ounce of battery life out of it. So I guess for me, I'd like to see maybe a touch screen added to it. Maybe some of the new training tools like training readiness, HRV status, maybe some sort of hybrid mapping. So it's not like full-blown topo mapping, but close to it. Maybe a basic, like a simplified map. And yeah, longer battery life, because that's what this thing's all about. I hope that makes sense. That's my wish list. Okay. Daniel Kravitz says, since you mentioned it, how often do you trim or shave your hair? That's a really interesting question. I've never been asked before. About every week and a half, 2 weeks, I want to say. We've actually been moving from one house to another, and I misplaced where my buzzers are or my clippers. So it might be longer than that. You might see me with like a big, long, scraggly beard in the next video because I can't seem to find it. I like my Beats Fit Pro. Those are great. Actually, I'm curious if those are on sale. Let's jump back to Amazon real quick and check those out. Oops, I can't type when people are watching. Beats Fit Pro are on sale. Look at that, $159. That is a really good price. These are some of my favorite running earbuds right now. I still really like my JayBird Vista 2s, but these are right up there. I trade off between the JayBirds and Beats all the time. I really like them. And I like that they come in so many different colors. Super cool. I wonder if the JayBirds are on sale. JayBird Vista 2, $99. That's also a very good price. Both very good. So right now is the time to get your running earbuds. Ooh, look at that. Sony LinkBuds S are on sale as well for $158. So you'd have to decide, do you want Sony LinkBuds or the Beats Fit Pro? Sony LinkBuds, if you don't know, they have this like chamber on the back, this hole that allows you to hear what's around you because they're not sealed off. There's actually a hole there while you're listening to music, which is pretty cool. It's almost like bone conduction, but not. So $158 for those and $158 for the Beats Fit Pro, along with $99 for the JayBirds. It's a really good deal. Kevin Faubert says, should I keep my Apple Watch for marathon distance or go for a Garmin? I think you could do it either way. You're definitely gonna, well, I won't say definitely. If you walk a marathon, like the entire length, you may run out of battery. But for the most part, I'd say most people could run a marathon. And I would argue that like 90% of the participants at like the Boston or New York Marathon probably are wearing an Apple Watch. So nothing wrong with the Apple Watch. And now you've got running power and ground contact time and everything coming with this next watch version with OS 9. So it's a good option. That said, I still find more value. Like if you're a hardcore runner, which you might be if you're running marathons, I still find more value in a Garmin. You get more out of it, better battery life. Just not a concern. I also like transflective displays a little bit better when I'm, running because they're easier to see. I just lost my top-down camera, so no more top-down video. So yeah, I would say Apple Watch will do the job, but yeah, I wouldn't sell it for a Garmin necessarily unless it's not doing something that you want it to do. Find the reasons why you want it to do something, and then if a Garmin could fix that for you, it might be worth it. Okay, folks. I get this question all the time. I'm just scrolling through trying to grab a few more questions. So Feel the Need says, what is the bright yellow band you wear and where can I get one? So far, Amazon only have lime green. This is a band by a company called Ancool, Ancool. They make a lot of different colors. This one is actually the lime green color, but on camera it comes off as being like a yellow green. I love it. And I've got it on a couple of my different watches here. So I've got another one here. They're really cheap. I think this one was like $15. It's a good one. And if I remember, I'll link it in the description of this video after I'm done with the live stream. Oh man, I got to ban more people. There's a bot. I need to get like a moderator. Is that what you do? I mean, there's only 150 people watching, and why do I have so many bots? So I hope that answered your question about the band. Any news about a Forerunner and 755 in the near future? I'm only comfortable with the 42 millimeter watch size. Tried an Instinct 2, and it's too small. And the Epix 2 was good on the wrist, but too big for myself. Yeah, it sounds like you're waiting, or maybe have you tried the 255 or the 255S? That might be the right answer for you. Otherwise, I don't have any inside baseball knowledge of what's coming with the 700 series watches. And honestly, I would wonder if they're even going to continue making a 755 or evolve the 700 series at all when the 255 just does so much. Like the gap between the 255 and the 955 is so small now that I feel like there isn't, I'm sure they'll find a way to put something in there, but I don't know if they need to. Okay. A couple more questions and I'm going to sign off, but here, Gus says, are you more of a runner or a cycler? I am 100% a runner. I barely touch a bike. I run ultra marathon distances. I've completed a 100-miler. Yeah, hope that answers your question. I'm also I also enjoy just hiking and being outside, which is where the name Chase the Summit came from. Just like, I enjoy the mountains and being on trails and stuff. Man, the bots are back. Had to ban them again. Okay. One more. Option select. Do you strength train? I don't really. So I passively do. I've got 4 kids. There's a lot of lifting and hoisting and moving things. And being a dad is a full-time workout, I think. And I'm sure a lot of you are dads as well. But I don't really spend a lot of time picking up weights. I do body weight exercises occasionally. I'll do like push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, that kind of thing. But I think, I genetically ended up with like muscly looking arms. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I used to be a big time into like weightlifting and stuff like that, but I've since kind of faded off from that. I got to get back into it though, because I feel like there's a lot of mobility and body work and strength training for your core and stuff that does lend itself to trail running specifically. So it's something I want to improve on. I think as my kids get older and my time frees up a little bit more, I'm hoping I can incorporate more of that. I try my best, but to be honest, I mainly just run right now. All right, I'm going to bring this one up. 1HP says Eastern States are coming up. Seems like that race gets no hype. Fun fact, I was signed up for Eastern States in 2020, but of course it was canceled. And I ended up not deferring to come back. I agree. I wish it got more hype because it is a super cool race, especially being East Coast. I think it gets a lot of hype, but not the appropriate amount. So hopefully we'll see that grow. And a big part of this channel, I know I talk about watches and stuff a lot, but a big part of this is I also want to share my experiences at a lot of these East Coast races because I feel like they don't get a lot of the spotlight as a lot of like West Coast races like Western States or Hard Rock or any of those. So when I attend a race here on the East Coast, I try to share it on YouTube and try to get more eyeballs on it to let people know there's a lot of cool stuff out there. So they don't all have to be Western States, I mean, Vermont's a good example of that. It's not really a huge race by any stretch, but it is fairly famous. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being there this weekend. Feel a Need says, thank you for all the hard work you put into your videos. Your channel's the best. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Pedro Alexandre says, Huawei, I always have a hard time saying that, Huawei Watch GT3 versus TicWatch 3 Pro. The Huawei Watch GT3 and GT Runner are highly requested. I get a lot of messages about it. It seems really interesting. I haven't tried one out yet. And the main reason I haven't tried one out is because they're kind of hard to find. I haven't looked recently, but before you couldn't get one on Amazon. I couldn't buy them basically anywhere except for eBay. So I haven't really I haven't really had a chance to review it. Plus, I've been super busy. So I will review it eventually. Haven't done it yet. But to the second part of your question there is something I did notice before. TicWatch. There's a bunch of sales on TicWatch. So you've got the TicWatch E3, $139 down from $199. The TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra, $209, and the TicWatch 3 for $194. Really good prices. At $209, the TicWatch 3 Ultra is a really good deal. If you're not aware of this watch, it's actually got a dual layer display, so you can see an OLED display and a regular transflective display to maximize battery life. And it's one of the few watches out there that actually get it like 4 or 5 days of battery life on a charge with an OLED display, which is really rare. So I've got that link down below as well. I think it's a really interesting watch, especially for that price. Yeah. Oh, here's an interesting one. Can the HRM Pro be shared between users, my wife and I, or is it linked to a device? Yes, you can share it between users, but one user can actually pair it to their Garmin Connect account. So you can update the firmware on the actual chest strap, but you don't need to pair it to your Connect account. You can use it just like a sensor and pair it directly to the watch. So your wife could use it after she's done. You could use it. The thing you'll run into that will be a challenge is when if you run together. So if you're out, hitting start on your watch and you're side by side and one of you has a chest strap on, that strap won't know who's who. It's going to connect to whoever has the better signal strength on their watch. So your wife could go for a run and you could be wearing the strap and providing your heart rate data on her run, which would be really confusing in Strava after the fact. So just avoid that. I'd say the best way to avoid that would be to turn off the Bluetooth on the watch so you don't end up with a connection like that, or just manually click disconnect. But yeah, you can share it between users, no problem there. All right, folks. I think that's all I've got in me. I'm starting to lose my voice after all this chatting. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did enjoy the stream and you found it helpful or educational, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel down below. That really helps me out. Also, like I said before, check out the Chase to Summit merch store. Link down below. Use discount code CTSSummer5 for 5% off your order. I've got hats and shirts and all kinds of stuff. And I love these hats. So I'll be wearing one of these at my next race. Aside from that, make sure you follow me on Instagram and over on the podcast. Check out the links below for that. And I think that might be all the plugs that I have to do in this video. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of this. I certainly did. I learned a lot about you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.